Dr. B here. I am doing a series on the mentally strong method, the cognitive behavioral approach that I created. I have 20 years of clinical experience as a psychiatric nurse practitioner and life experience of really using this cognitive behavioral model. Today we're going to focus on core connections and triggers. When we think about the mentally strong method, I have three words that I really just want you to remember. Think, organize, and choose. So the mentally strong method has four elements, and in the first element, we're thinking through what's going on with us. In the second and third element, we're organizing that. And in the third and fourth element, we are choosing what we're going to do with that, right? How do we take our life? How do we become comfortable in our story so that we can move forward? And that we can deal with the new things that come up. Because unfortunately, there will continue to be problems or situations, feelings, stress that come up in your life, loss that comes up in your life, right? So today's video is specifically around core connections and triggers. So when we do the mentally strong method, we think through things and then we organize them. And we organize them into 10 categories. And these first two categories are triggers and core connections. And I'll start by defining them and then kind of talking about what do we do? How do we choose to handle or move forward from those things? So a trigger is an external thing that happens or is said that triggers a button, we call a button inside of us, or a core connection inside of us. Some of you may not know what your core connections are. And I often hear people talking about triggers. Oh, that triggers me when you say that. That situation triggers me. People trigger me. So the word trigger is used often, but unfortunately I feel like it's used as an excuse. Like somehow it's someone else's fault that I am feeling this way. And I want to challenge you, and this is what we do with the mentally strong method, is that we challenge you to take control of that. It's true that you cannot control what triggers you or the external things in your environment that are maybe pushing those buttons, but you can control how you react to them. And the way that you control how you react to them is really having insight into what they're saying or doing. Okay, so I will use a common one that I talk about with myself a lot. One of my core connections, this is when we talk about core connections, we're talking about things that we kind of deeply believe about ourselves that are not positive, okay? And one of my core connections is that I'm stupid. I have a doctorate, I've overcome so much, I'm a successful business person, I'm a really good psychiatric nurse practitioner. That is not a true statement that I am stupid. However, it has taken me a long time to be able to confidently say that, but it's because I have learned how to control those triggers. I've learned where I am smart and how to accommodate where I'm not. But even a couple days ago, I was triggered in that core connection of feeling stupid, or that I am stupid. So a bunch of things happened at work, and someone left, and there was a financial problem of things were not being done correctly, and organization was not happening, and we were missing like financial opportunities and those kinds of things because of an organization. My brain is not organized. This is one of the reasons that I think I'm stupid, right? But I accommodate in other ways. And so we had this whole thing, kind of dumped in front of us that it was almost like, hey, Cristi, you're stupid. But I was able, because I've worked on myself so much, I was able to know, okay, that's a trigger. I know I can organize. It just takes a little more mental strength for me. And, I had some bad days. Yes, I had a lot of negative thought, but I was able to work through that because I had the insight of what core connection that trigger was pushing. So this is what we're talking about when we say using the mentally strong method, right? You think, organize, choose. And so you think through something and you can, say all the contributing factors. But when we organize into the 10 categories, and I'm just talking about 2 of the categories today, triggers and core connections, when you have insight into what those things are, why I feel stupid when something like that happens is really way bigger than that one situation, I can find that mental strength to overcome and figure it out and accommodate for my weaknesses, but also challenge myself in my weaknesses. So again, the Mentally Strong Method, today is about triggers and core connections. I want to challenge you. You probably know what your triggers are, but what you might not know is what core connections those triggers are pushing. And you've got to, I challenge you, you don't have to do anything. I challenge you to have insight into that. Why is it when, a cashier is rude to you, it drives you nuts, right? You can't control how that person is treating you. What does that disrespect say about you, right? And dig deep so that you can control your reaction. You can control not allowing that to affect your day. And we are all different. All of our triggers and core connections are different. I can tell you common core connections that I come across with people is that they feel stupid, that they feel that they're not attractive, that they are fat, they feel that they are not worthy, not good enough is probably the most common core connection that I come across in myself and in talking to others, right? So figure out what your core connections are, where they came from. Honestly, they probably started very young. And not to blame the situation, but to have insight so that we can move forward and that we can be stronger and that we can not react to our triggers and that we can not believe those core connections, that we can start to believe the opposite. And I like to put them in percentages, right? So, I am stupid. When I was a teenager, if you would have asked me, how much do you believe that on a percentage scale? And I would have probably said 70, 80%, right? On a bad day. Now I could say even on a bad day, it's like 30, 40%, but I have to have insight and the reality that it still comes up for me, right? And choose not to react to it. So that is the think, organize, and choose of the Mentally Strong Method. Keep learning, keep watching, follow us on YouTube, get on the website, see how you can learn the Mentally Strong Method.